Greetings, brothers and sisters from the four corners of the world. I hope everyone is having a blessed day, morning, evening, wherever you are. All right. So we have the beginning of the EU, the foundation of decay. Now, before I get into this, um, I did make a little intro, so let's check out my intro real quick. No video, just a reading. It says, as we know it, as one might recognize, the world has changed drastically since 2019. The world has faced lockdowns, extreme famine and poverty, discrimination, and a medical class system where people have been demonized. Now, since that time, the world has been distracted from the split of the UK from the European Union called Brexit, while being forced to accept the money and weapons of nations fueling the Ukraine and Russia war. But as the world focused on in one direction, powers and policies have shifted the world as the policies and laws are passed one day, then they then change lives within the next day, catching the masses off guard. As the people continue to come from the dark and begin to recognize the powers that have developed the standards of the world are evil, countries are beginning to crumble. However, as some people think that things may change from a vote or protest as things normally have went. They are in strong denial due to being afraid of what can possibly come next. This mini-series will serve as a warning to those who live amongst the European Union and the destruction that awaits Europe and why. In this mini-series of the EU, you will know exactly why judgment has started for the EU and why it's coming specifically for the EU. These are the times of recompense, and everyone will understand why physically and spiritually what is owed to the European nations, as it is ordained by the Most High for all nations to receive recompense for their actions. As time progresses, we will all witness the EU change as we know it, since they have built their foundation on the decay of the devil. Now, here is the lesson, brothers and sisters, where we are going to prove everyone. Okay, we're going to prove everyone. All right, so let's start with the first portion. And I thought to do this one because of how things are going and all the information I found out. So, first one is called Episode 1. This is France on Fire. Okay, France on Fire. And I will be going through some uh, very important things in regards to France, and you're going to see a lot of things that actually may bother you. So, for example, if you are a weak-minded individual who just believes in the Most High and Christ and the Holy Spirit, but doesn't believe that people around the world should be treated equally under the understanding of the Most High, then this lesson not going to be for you. If you think one nation of people should be over another, this lesson is not for you. If you think immigration policies is the answer, this lesson is not for you. I'm going to show you, right? And for the simple fact, think of it. I didn't put it in the scriptures, but I was certain that Christ was a immigrant at once. I mean, so was Mary and Joseph. They fled Herod to go to Egypt, right? So if you hate migrants or immigrants, you'd more than likely hate Christ because Christ had to run, right? Disciples had to run. The children of Israel had to go from country to country. They were dispersed, right? But nonetheless, we're going to show you biblically how all of this was strategized by evil and how the Most High has caught them red handed and what is actually happening. Because once again, if you think this is about the cops versus a little brown boy from Algeria of Algerian descent, then you are completely wrong. All right. But we will dive into that as well. Okay. So first, these are disclaimers, so to speak. And you'll understand as we further into the lesson why, just why I'm using these specific scriptures in the beginning. So, first of all, we're going to start with Ecclesiastes chapter 1. We're going to go to verse 9, and it reads, "The thing that hath been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun." Now you may be saying, why in the world would I read this scripture? Well, we've heard that history repeats itself, right? Hey, and I'm going to show you why exactly Europe keeps getting these issues, all right? And and what it actually was a sign for people in Europe to hey, get yourself together. Now, people may say, "Oh, U.S. is worse than Europe," and, well, that's true, but every nation has a different judgment, right? So I'm going to share that as well. Okay. Now, Mark chapter 13. Mark 13, verse 5 through 8 reads. So for anyone who may be new, you won't hear me say Jesus because Jesus, there's no J in the Hebrew tongue, but Yeshua, who is the what? Savior, the one who brings salvation. That's Yeshua. All right. So, and Yeshua answering them began to say, "Take heed lest any man deceive you." You always hear me say this for those of you who are my fervent listeners and watchers. You always hear me say this. Be careful. Be careful, be careful, be careful. All right. For many, Christ says, shall come in my name, saying, "I am Christ," and shall deceive many. And what's really great about this scripture that Christ said is it's in the Gospel of the Nazarenes, and it means, wow, it's amazing, but it truly means some people, different organizations of Christianity, and those who subscribe to the Bible, children of Israel, different sects. You had, Masoretes, you had scribes and Pharisees. There was one in Iraq called the Madians, if I'm pronouncing it right, who claimed that they just followed John and they thought John was the Christ. There's all kinds of people, right, in the world. But um, Christ said, "Do not be deceived," right? "And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginning of sorrows. Now, my brothers and sisters, we've been facing earthquakes in diverse places for quite some time. Okay, now it also just doesn't mean earthquakes, it also means the commotion, protesting, rioting, things like that. All it just means is to shake up the environment. That's what earthquake actually means. So, shaking up the environment in different places, okay, whether it be physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, famines, famine of money, famine of word, famine of food, and troubles. Now, we've already experienced these things. Now we're seeing a rise of nation against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And you may say, why would I use this scripture for this lesson? Well, we're going to do a little digging in history books as well. Now, it says nation, all right? A foreign, non, I'm not saying Jewish because there's no such thing as J. We will say non-Hebrew, all right? Then it says a pagan, that's right, a Gentile, a heathen, a nation or people. Now, this is ethnos. You find this term also in the French Constitution, by the way. We won't get into that. So, you find a foreign people, okay, a foreign nation. So, people, foreign nations, different nationalities shall go against different nationalities, a tribe. So, yes, everyone talking about, oh, it's not about race, and you can tell them shove it because Christ said it is. You can tell them to shove it because Christ said it, this is what it would be. Okay. He said race will be against race, tribe against tribe, people against people. All right. You tell them shove their lies in the garbage. Shove it. Okay. And kingdom against kingdom. This is rule against rule. That's president, prime ministers, leaders against leaders. Don't sit there and think that they shaking each other's hands. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They all hate each other. They a house divided cannot stand. One person follows Shintoism, one person follow Hinduism, person follow Buddhism, one person follow Wahhabism, one person follow Islam through the Persian ideology. One person follows Zoroastrianism, right? All coming together. They all these pacts. They're a bunch of liars. Okay, so we're going to see leaders against leaders as well, and we already see this. Okay, and in some cases you see, and it's easier to see this, right? Because you see certain governments are having certain people in when they wanted one group of people in, when there's a mixture now of people in certain governments, right? But we are going to focus on nation against nation. Now, if race bothers you, this may not be the lesson for you. But if you truly want the truth, okay, through the biblical texts and scriptures, okay, of what's going on and why it's happening, you're in the right place. And I'm happy that you're here, brothers and sisters alike. All right. Now, continuing. So, Christ said there will be nation against nation, nation against nation. Look at that. Now, rouse. It says rouse, okay? To excite. It says to waken, to rouse, literally from sleep. So you're talking about old rivalries, old history being dug up again. That's why I said nothing new under the sun. What was is the reason because of what is now today. Okay. And I know people will say, huh? Right? Is it the reason the things are the way they are today is because of what happened in the past. Now, you've had a lot of people, maybe a certain group of people in the world, I won't say no names, of European descent, liking to go conquer different countries, right? Australia and Europe and Africa and the Americas and the Caribbeans. And well, now people are angry. Well, you didn't think that people was going to forget, did you? Right? And this is where the sleep, Most High shaking the people out of the sleep, like, hey, time to rile up, okay? Oh, time to rile them up. And you almost had to think, right? All this truth out here, people are going to get riled up. It's just natural for people to get upset. Now, next scripture, excuse me, Romans 2. This is 1 through 11. It says, therefore, thou art inexcusable, O man, whosoever art that judgest, for wherein thou judgest another, thou condemnest thyself. For thou that judgest doest the same things. Sure, that the judgment of God is according to truth against them which commit such things, right? And you see, I'm reading this because the world, and I say we as the world, have grown so accustomed to, and you find a lot of people in these French and American, Australia, and different places, Netherlands, and all that. You have a lot of times where police situations happen, and everyone runs and says, we got to support the police, right? Well, I want you to understand if Christ was living today, the police would have arrested Christ. They probably would have shot him. I mean, what the Romans were then is what the police is today. Prove me wrong, right? Going against what they call dissent, going against someone who is disrupting the order, right? That was Christ. So now, am I comparing this young man to Christ? No. But what I am saying is the Most High will judge with truth, and not just because, oh, we got to support our cops. We got to support the police. We got to support the veterans and the military. Okay. You see, the problem is judgment is not being given by the judgment of the Most High. Judgment is being given on what people believe is proper. And that is where the Bible and Christ also condemns in the book of Matthew 7. And we'll go there. It says, but we are sure that the judgment of God is according to the truth against them which commit such things. And thinkest thou this, O man, that judgest them which do such things, and doest the same, that thou shalt escape the judgment of God? So the Most High is saying, you probably have done the same thing, and then, yeah, the police, yeah, and then if the same thing happened to you, you probably would have been upset too, right? I mean, let me give you an example. Hold that thought. I got quite a lot of articles. However, I did not want to put them all up just yet. Okay. Um, but I may just have to. So bear with me, brothers and sisters. Okay, let's quite a lot. Let me see. I'll do it this way. Now, these are in no order, but I did order them on paper. However, the thing is, there's like tons of articles, brothers and sisters. So bear with me. Thank you. I'm clicking and going, clicking and going. I'm just opening them all up. Give me a second. Oh, that's Greek. I put Greek up there. Okay. Give me one moment. Now, right here, I want you to look at this article. It says, "Kill and become a millionaire. Fundraising for cop behind France unrest sparks anger." Now, this is something that also happens in the US as well. Okay. You have far right politicians, and I don't care if they're far right or far left. Politicians is a bunch of crap to me. I'm Team Christ, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. That's my team. And that's who I'm voting for always. It says the campaign has so far received pledges of more than $1 million. And this is sad, right? Now, considering the Bible tells us to take care of the widows, right? So you supporting this, but you swear that you love God, but yet you're doing the opposite. Now, this was a single mother who you killed her only child, despite, okay, despite what you did. Like, and this is my thing, right? I have a question for people who support the police. Why not shoot the tires? Why you shoot the people? Like, seriously, this is my thing. Okay, if they've done something wrong, shoot the tire so they can't go nowhere. Shoot the tire. Never mind. But hey, most I say you accept judgment from the things that you do, or despisest thou the riches of his goodness and forbearance and long suffering, not knowing that the goodness of God leadeth thee to repentance, but after thy hardness and impenitent heart treasurest up unto thyself wrath against the day of wrath and revelation of the righteous judgment of God. So some people are building up judgment. Who will render every man to every man according to his deeds? So think of it, right? In the Ten Commandments says thou shalt not kill. But you're gonna have a lot of Christians and a lot of people who say they love God supporting this. But so what happens? Do you go to heaven because you shot a, a, a child who ran away from you? It doesn't make any sense, right? It says, to them who by patient continuance and well doing seek for glory and honor and immortality and eternal life, but unto them that are contentious and do not obey the truth. You see, that's the problem. People don't obey the truth. And you see here, Christ said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. It's saying you have to obey Christ. Now, I'm certain when Peter went and sliced the guard's ear off, right? Christ was upset and he healed the man, even though the man came against him. Yeah. Right? No, and you say, look at this, right? Contention, strife, right? And those who don't obey the truth, but obey unrighteousness. You obey a president, a mayor, a governor, a prime minister. You obey a police officer before you obey Christ. That's a problem. That's a problem. It says, but obey unrighteousness, indignation, and wrath, tribulation and anguish upon every soul of man that doeth evil, of the Jew first and of the Gentile. So the children of Israel, if you read, have been scattered across the world. This is a true statement. You can see it in all the texts, the Josephus, the Philo, wherever you go. Even the Bible. In all the texts of the Bible, you see that what? The children of Israel scattered. So they live amongst Gentiles as well, not in the land of Israel. Hence, Revelation 2 and 9, 3 and 9. But nonetheless, children of Israel have received quite a lot of tribulation and anguish. And now the times of turning. And the children of Israel will still receive their tribulation and anguish for those who don't serve the Most High. But everyone who does not serve the Most High, well, to the Jew first and the Gentile, but glory and honor and peace to every man that worketh good, to the Jew first and also the Gentile. This is according to the Most High, not to this world, by the way. For there is no respect of persons with God. You see, well, you can't honor a police officer and say, oh, well, he just shot a cash register at McDonald's. What, you respect one over the other because one holds a gun and one flips burgers? Right? And this is a problem within the world. Oh, I have not been to France, but I have come across a lot of uh, French folks um, overseas, and some of the nastiest people I've ever met in my life. I mean, wow. Not everyone, okay, but oh man, you want to talk about racist? I mean, good grief. But hey, if I had never interacted with people from France, um, outside of the U.S., I wouldn't believe you. I'd be like, why is that happening? But right, they go over in different countries and have the same ideology, and it's like, you're nasty. You're of the devil. This is disgusting behavior. And you in another person's country and you treat people this way. I can imagine. I would never step foot in France. Never. Good grief. But hey, you have an issue because now everything that people do in a lot of these European cultures, they have put a standard to the world where you have more respect for another person than the next. Right? You'll respect maybe some military, and you'll respect some police, you'll respect politicians, but you don't respect teachers or parents, right? You may respect a professor, but you don't respect the janitor. Yet the janitor makes everything clean, right? But a professor will yell at you and curse you out and give you the worst grade just because of your ideology, right? And so the people who should be respected and appreciated a lot in society are being held down. Okay, but all of this is changing because the Most High said, with me, there's no respecter of persons. You may do it. And Satan has taught people this because when you respect people, now you create prejudice. Now you create racism. When you respect people based on skin color, based on jobs, based on education more than the next, based on house, based on cars, based on clothing, you create prejudice and racism. Right there, showing you that the Most High is not racist. He's not prejudiced at all. It's the creation who chooses to be prejudiced and racist of all, right? Moving forward, Galatians, Galatians 6, excuse me, Galatians 6, 1 through 10 reads, Brethren, if a man be overtaken in fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such as one in spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. Bear ye another's burden, and so fulfill the law of Christ. Wait, what? Bear ye another man's burden, so fulfill the law of Christ, if a man be overtaken in a fault. Now, check this out, right? This mother, it was the fault of her son, his bad choices. He drove off and was shot, right? That was his bad choice. It was also the bad choice of the officer to shoot someone, right? When they didn't pose any threat to you, right? They weren't harming you. They weren't harming anyone else, right? But nonetheless, to bear another burden. So you mean to tell me you will make a murderer a millionaire before you give money to the widow or to the fatherless uh, child's mother? I mean, we talk about loving the Most High, but really, people don't really care. Look at the ways, right? This is backwards, man. This is backwards. This is backwards. It's like when Pontius Pilate was standing in front of all the children of Israel, right? And 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 they said, scribes and Pharisees, whom do you want, Barabbas or Christ? This one has maybe done minimal. This one has done nothing. What is this? Now, now let's not, for example, let's not ignore the elephant in the room. Now, I know growing up in Babylon, I've heard so many stories in the army where people of different races say, well, I was drunk and the cop just let me go. Well, that doesn't happen for everyone. Oh, well, they pulled me over because I smelled like, some weed or some drugs, but they just let me go. And you see, society creates prejudice. Society creates racism. Because then when people, and I'm not advocating for being prejudiced or racism, but when people consistently hear, oh, well, they did it, why can't I do it? And then when they do it, they get in trouble. That creates tension between people. Come on. It's called psyops, right? Psychological warfare. It's called psychological warfare. All the words is very important. Now, continuing. So, we're called to fulfill the law of Christ by bearing another burden. Okay, let's check this out. To lift, to carry, to take. So this woman should be helped, you know. And I know that a lot of people will say, well, this was a Muslim family, right? Even greater time for all people who believe in Christ to say, hey, this is what Christ will do. You need some help? You can convert a soul. Right? You wouldn't think about that though, were you? See that? You was like, well, she Muslim. Well, you know, they Muslim. Scripture says sometimes the women would convince other women by their speech, right? Where are the sisters out there, right? Who could help in situations like this, right? Instead of looking at people's bad, see what good you can do. Because at the end of the day, even if they reject you, guess what? You're still getting judged for at least trying. That's great, right? Because your heart had love, because you thought about, what if that was my child? I wouldn't want you to shoot them. At least shoot the tire. At least put a APB on the car. Put a roadblock and say, look for this vehicle. Hey, and I'm sharing these scriptures because I don't want to put out no hate. I'll never do that. But in these times, as Christ is saying, nation is gonna go against nation. It's happening. Okay. And we can even say from the point of Obama and the US and even Donald Trump, this has been spreading faster than anything about race, immigrants, race. Go back to your own country. Go back, right? What if I showed you something? Watch this, watch this, watch this. The French people, my French brothers and sisters in the truth, I love you. You probably know this. For those who are not of the French persuasion, I want to show you something. Now, they got me verifying. Come on, get out of here with this nonsense. Okay. I want you to see this. Now, me, I'm a digger. I dig for the truth. You're not going to stop me from finding the truth because the truth is there. And the Most High said, what? The truth will set you free. Right? That's what Christ said. You look for the truth will set you free. And you will have no ties to evil, no ties to lies. Right? Let me say they give me a hard time here. Don't you don't you don't you do this here. One moment. Thank you for bearing with me. Um, let's see. Just making sure I get y'all goods. Let's see. I think we got it. Keep bearing with me, brothers and sisters. I am grateful for your patience. Let's see. Let's see. Hmm. Give me a second. Here we go. Bingo. Got him. Right here. So this is Wikipedia. I'm gonna show you out of Wikipedia. Okay. So all the French people talking about being immigrants, check this out. France officially, you ready? Officially, the French Republic is a country located primarily in Western Europe. Let's see if we can get this in there. Yep. I need y'all to see this. Okay. It also includes overseas regions and territories in Americas and Atlantic Ocean, Pacific, and Indian Oceans, giving it one of the largest exclusive economic zones in the world. Yes, they colonized, by the way, right? How dare they say, get out of my country? But nevertheless, let's drop down right here. Inhabited by archaic humans since the Paleolithic era, the territory of metropolitan France was settled during the Iron Age by the Celtic tribes known as the Gauls. Okay. Rome annexed the area in 51 BC, leading to a distinct Gallo-Roman culture that laid the foundation of the French language. Watch this, watch this, watch this. The Germanic French, the Germanic Franks formed the kingdom of Francia, which became the heartland of the Carolingian Empire. Now you're like, who are Germanic Franks, right? Watch this, watch this, watch this. Frank is a member of the Germanic speaking people who invaded Western Roman Empire in the 5th century, dominating present day northern France, Belgium, and western Germany. The Franks established the most powerful Christian kingdom in the early medieval Western Europe. The name France is derived from the Franks. That means that's not their land. Get out. Gotcha. So people better start recognizing they up there. Yeah, you immigrants, get out of my country, and yeah, that's not even your country. You invaded it, and you're German. You ain't French. Now, I'm gonna prove to you though. Don't worry. I'm going, and you'll find it that all the people who's always talking about immigrants, they're not even from the land that they're trying to hold. Just like in America. The people migrated from Europe and Ireland and different parts, Caucasoid mountains. You're not the originators of that land either. They're like immigration, yeah. Build those walls, yeah. Right. I'm gonna show you how deep this goes. Isn't that crazy? Who and you see people not living all this pro country stuff. I told you leave it alone because you're gonna find out Christ's gonna look at you like you big idiot. That wasn't even your land. And then if I judged one group of people for what their ancestors did, what do you think I'll do to you? This is why it says don't boast against the natural branches, right? Never mind. Continuing. So you're supposed to bear another's burdens, help them out, feel sorry, mourn with them. For if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself. But let every man prove his own work, then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone and not in another. For every man shall bear his own burden. Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things. Be not deceived, God is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. And let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially. Now it did say all men, but especially unto them who are of the household of the faith of faith. Now, here's a problem with the colonial mindset, right? The imperialism and all that mindset, right? Even the communist mindset. All these rulers, all these countries, right? They're forgetting a simple term. What you sow is what you will reap. Yeah. Now, some people's like, yeah, I've done so much evil in my life and I ain't got caught. And there's people in the world who think this. But you do understand you have to stand before the Creator at least once in your life, right? Judgment. Wouldn't you rather stand knowing that He's proud of you than being a disappointment? Like the first people who He regretted making and He had to flood the world. Right? I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, we're a very small portion of the world who actually make the Most High smile. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about that because we often look at all the evils in the world. We even know some believers, some people who are in the truth. But I want you to really just sit there and think, man, we really are small in number. People who actually obey Christ, people who actually obey the words of the Most High, people who feel the way the Most High wants them to feel, to do the things He wants them to do, to be the things He wants them to be. Excuse me, to say the things He wants them to say. Sad. But 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 you see, when Christ said the love of the world has waxed cold, see, where all the mothers crying with this woman that her son is gone, right? But you see, that doesn't matter to people anymore. Because no one even wanted their kids to begin with now. So one shot is just like another child aborted. That's what the world is treating people like this, situations like this. I get it. Some people say he's may had a criminal history and all that. And man, you know what? Y'all some sick people for that. Right? Now, this wasn't no George Floyd, okay, even though the environment looks like George Floyd. But like, imagine being dead. You, you know, I got the perfect scripture. I got the per I got the perfect scripture to show you people like this are the devil. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you. Didn't it say in Jude? Yet Michael the archangel, when contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses. He sat there and accused Moses while he was dead. What are you doing? You accusing the dead? Yeah, this world is sick, man. This world is sick. And it's time for people to start recognizing that the Most High cares more about the life, right? More about the life. How could you have, and you know, they say, oh, these kids is like this. And well, what are you doing to try and reach one? Huh? What are you doing? What are your works doing? Because this is what the devil does. The devil will kill you and then put on TV, you've done X, Y, and Z. You can't even die in peace. I'm dead. What you talk about the past 5 years of what I've done, right? This is what the This is why the Most High say he hates certain nations. This is why he say he hates certain nations. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. No one's saying to paint the child as a saint and say he was perfect, but good grief. I mean, think about it, right? You go and apply for a job, and then someone say, "Well, I spoke to your mom and your and that judge, you know, when they caught you drunk driving at the age of like 16, right? You hit someone, but they let you go because your mom knew people, right? But we can't work with you here because you hit someone and you know. Well, obviously they do this though. This is a sick world, and everything they do, you can find a scripture to say that the Most High hates what they do. Prove me wrong. Prove it. Prove it. Man, it's a sick world, right? And then on top of that, Matthew 7, judge not that ye be not judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged, and with what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again. Hey, I'm just saying, I don't know about y'all, but I certainly would like all the mercy I can get from the Most High. Not an ounce short of it. I want all he's got to give. I want all he's got to give. And it's so sad because you don't want someone to judge you. And yes, those are tough jobs, right? A police officer is like a soldier. It's an in-city soldier. It's a Roman guard. That's all it is. But then you have to make decisions. It's like, do I shoot this person? Do I not? Do I give them a ticket? Now think about that, right? At the point of you holding a gun, you are saying, I am going to undo what the Most High has done because He created this person with love. And now I'm going to take your life. I'm telling you, if the world followed Christ, we would be in such a better position in the world. But the problem is, Satan has trained hypocrites. He's built a standard, a society of hypocrisy. I do this, but you don't do it. Never mind what I did. Now I'm gonna look at you because I don't like you. I don't like where you came from. I don't like your color. I don't like your education. You don't dress like me. You don't have what I have. Don't look at me. Let's look at you. Boy, oh boy. And you know what? Those who those who have been in positions to be supervisors and different things like that, they're always judges. Think about that, right? Some jobs are always judging people. And think about this, loan officers for cars and homes. You're always judging someone based on a number, based on their past, based on how they look, based on how you feel about them. Now imagine if that same merit was applied to you getting into the kingdom. Goodness, you would be up in arms. You would be, oh, how dare you? And yada. Didn't he say there will be wailing and gnashing of teeth? You wanted the pie and you wanted everything else your way. Have mercy. Now, let's go a little bit into some things, right? Ecclesiastes 7. Now, I'm going to show you a video. First video. Sorry, well, they don't ban it. Moment. Now, I don't follow this person, but I said, let me show you different points. Okay. I'm going to be fair. I don't follow this individual InfoWars, but hey, I'm going to show you exactly what I was talking about. Fair use. I do not own the rights to this
As a result of the United Nations, the WEF, IMF, and the EU's intentionally disastrous open border policy, New World Order puppet French President Emmanuel Macron is forging ahead with the final stages of the Illuminati takedown of Western civilization.
Here are the key elements of a global agenda. To deliver this agenda, we need cooperation, and especially we need cooperation between China and the US.
This is France right now. How is looting Louis Vuitton stores advances the rights of minorities in France? How is chanting Allah Akbar while setting vehicles on fire is advancing your cause? It does if your cause is anarchy and radicalism.
1/3 of all the people arrested were young, sometimes very young people, he said, urging parents to keep them in tonight. He also blamed social media for fanning the protests, calling on internet companies to take down sensitive footage. Of course, it's because of this video of the shooting death of 17-year-old Nahel that so many are outraged. He was the son of North African parents, and many believe his race made it easier for the officer to pull the trigger.
Over 100 French cities have been affected by looting, rioting, and random gunfire. 45,000 security forces deployed, over 2,400 arrests, 2,500 fires set, while in Lyon, France alone, 27 police officers were injured, 7 of those by shotgun fire in the 5th night of New World Order-driven anarchy.
But the United Nations has voiced its concerns about French police.
This is a moment for the country to seriously address the deep issues of racism and racial discrimination in law enforcement.
Look at me. Don't look at me. Look at you.
According to a CSA poll for CNN,
Crazy boy.
70% of France is favorable of restoring order with the army. As
Now, what country want to be in martial law? These people are idiots. What country want to? Never mind.
witnessed a terrifying 21st century Islamic crusade into Europe that has played out exponentially since 2015.
After the murders at the headquarters of magazine Charlie Hebdo, France became a different, more nervous country, facing fundamental questions about free speech and religion. As that unfolded, another attack was launched on a Jewish supermarket in the east of the capital by a close friend of the Kouachi brothers. Ahmedi Koulibaly, who had also pledged allegiance to the Islamic State, took several hostages and killed 4 people.
Now, I want you to pay attention how they're going to spin this, right? They're saying the Islamic State and people are pledging allegiance in Europe to ISIS and committing attacks, right? I'm going to show you something later. You keep this thought now.
The worst fears were realized in November.
What is this? Sky News? This is, I think, Australia.
When 130 people were killed in one terrible evening in Paris at the Bataclan concert hall and in nearby bars. It was the worst attack in France since the Second World War.
It is said that in 2050, Muslims in France will outnumber the French. It's not these numbers that we are counting on to turn France into an Islamic country. Thus, the rule of Islam will spread to the entire world in one of 3 ways: conversion to Islam, payment of the jizya poll tax, or we will ask for Allah's help until the entire world is subject to the rule of Islam.
There will come
And we will fight.
a day that we will see far more radical extremists and terrorists.
Now, that was one of the Dubai princes over there saying that they're going to pretty much send terrorists to Europe. But hey, that was this week too, or last week. I think it was last week.
Coming out of Europe because of lack of decision making, trying to be politically correct, or assuming that they know the Middle East and they know Islam and they know the others far better than.
And you see, one thing he is saying that Europe in the Western world is going to have a problem because they want to be politically correct and force things on the other cultures who are not with their program. And this is, well, you'll see.
And I'm sorry, but that's pure ignorance.
Check out this map. It shows all the documented terror attacks since 9/11. And one thing really stands out. There is one solitary country in the heart of Europe with not a single red dot, not one terror attack in the last 20 odd years. And that country is Poland, my homeland.
How many refugees has Poland taken?
0.
This is the New World Order on the march, as security is traded for compassionate anarchic diversity, steadily manifesting order out of chaos into being. John Bound reporting.
Now, once again, they always go. They always go to the border, right? And immigration. But why? That's my question. Why? All right. Now, let me show you the next video while I'm at it. Fair use. I do not own the rights to this video.
Is firm. For almost a week straight, rioters have taken over the streets, torching shops, joyriding in stolen buses, and even ramming a supercar to the front of a little supermarket. Sparked by the fatal police shooting of 17-year-old Nahel Merzouk, a French Algerian living in one of Paris's ghettoized suburbs, it is the worst violence to rock the country in more than a decade. But it is far from the first time that this has happened. Since the 1970s, France's notorious banlieue neighborhoods periodically exploded into riots, driven by crushing inequality, gangs, and police brutality. Back in 2005, the whole country had to be put into a state of emergency to quell 3 weeks of deadly violence. And there are fears it is facing an even bigger crisis now. This is what sparked the riots currently engulfing France, what really lies behind them, and why the country's history seems doomed to repeat itself. The unrest began on June the 27th in Nanterre, a banlieue or suburb of Paris on the western outskirts of the city. Nahel, a 17-year-old delivery driver, was spotted at the wheel of a yellow Mercedes with Polish number plates in a bus lane shortly before 8 a.m. 2 officers on motorbikes said he was driving fast with 2 other boys in the car, so they decided to stop him at a red light. Nahel fled, but police caught up to him in traffic, which is when they drew their guns and approached the car on foot. Accounts of what happened next differ. Prosecutors say the officers ordered Nahel out of the car and shot him at point-blank range when he tried to drive at them. But one of the passengers has claimed the officers actually beat Nahel with their guns, causing his foot to slip off the brake, at which point the car lurched forward and he was shot. Video, which documented part of the killing, appeared to capture one of the officers saying, "You're going to get a bullet in the head." Regardless of what exactly happened, the shooting proved fatal. Just like George Floyd's killing by police in the US, footage of Nahel's death went viral and sparked outrage, which quickly turned into rioting. Those riots have now been going on for almost a week and have spread from Paris to cities right across the country. President Emmanuel Macron has blamed social media for fanning the flames of the riots, calling for tech giants to delete the content. He has also accused young people of living the violent video games that have intoxicated them. Thousands of people.
Now, I want you to remember he's saying the young people in the video games as well. I'm going to show you. It's got nothing to do with video games.
Arrested. Hundreds of officers have been hurt. Cars, buses, trams, and buildings have been torched, and armed men have taken over the streets. In perhaps the most shocking incident, rioters drove a car into the home of a small town mayor in the middle of the night, leaving his wife with a broken leg and injuring his children. President Macron has been forced to deploy France's GIGN special forces to try and bring the situation under control, and has so far resisted calls to declare a state of emergency. The last time that happened was in 2005, during riots sparked over the deaths of 2 other migrant boys in a police chase, which ended up lasting for 3 weeks and cost.
Now, when do you know them to release special forces on citizens? Oh, never mind.
Lives of 2 more people. Mr. Macron was quick to denounce Nahel's killing as unjustified, but after a backlash from cops, he now blames social media and video games. Munia, Nahel's mother, has also spoken out, leading street marches in a Justice for Nahel t-shirt and cheering people from atop a van. She was even filmed revving a motorbike engine in front of excited crowds, which has sparked some criticism. To understand why the riots are happening, it is best to look at where they are happening, which is inside impoverished suburban neighborhoods known as banlieues. These areas are notorious hotspots of unrest, where multiple generations of poor migrants end up being effectively cut off from the rest of society. They are crammed into low-quality housing, devoid of access to good schools, and often discriminated against in the job market, meaning the prospects of children born in these areas are bleak. That attracts crime, which in turn draws the attention of police, whose sometimes heavy-handed tactics lead to allegations of systemic racism. That toxic
Sounds like the good old USA, huh?
tinderboxes of tension, which have triggered cycles of mass violence down the years. The first such riots took place in Lyon all the way back in the 1970s and inspired a famous French film called La Haine, which was released in the 1990s. Filmed in the wake of a real-life riot, it documents the hopeless lives of three friends who are confronted by a world of police brutality and violence. The successive French governments have been accused of doing little to address the problem, and the same charge will now be levelled against Mr. Macron. It is a far cry from 2017, when Macron came to power with a promise of sweeping reforms to aid the banlieues. But he quickly watered down the package, and 6 years on, it seems little has changed, and the cycle of violence has begun again. France has seen a proliferation of gangs and gang violence in recent years, with the banlieues at the heart of the problem. Gangs themselves are nothing new, but membership is thought to have exploded during COVID, when school closures and lockdowns meant that vulnerable youngsters went without support and were lured into a life of crime. Around 10% of young men living in France's deprived neighbourhoods are now thought to belong to gangs, meaning tens of thousands of people across the country. That has led to an accompanying rise in violence, with the number of clashes logged by police jumping 25% in the first year of the pandemic. It has not subsided since, and in many cases has become worse. Marseille, one of the hardest hit cities, saw 32 people shot dead by gangs last year alone. In Paris, the school holidays have turned into bloodletting seasons as teenagers engage in tit-for-tat killings. 3 died in the space of just 1 week in February 2021. Experts say poverty rates, which have been steadily rising since 2004, and underfunded social services are contributing to the problem. But another driving factor has been social media, which has both helped promote gang culture to young people and facilitated arguments that spill over into real-world violence. Amidst the current riots, videos of the unrest circulating online have been credited with inspiring copycats and fomenting the outrage. Meanwhile, gangs have been using encrypted messaging apps to organize themselves. France also has a problem with police brutality. Though officers the world over will always face accusations of excessive force, statistics show that cops in France kill and injure more often than any other force in Europe. Unlike many of its European neighbours, French cops are generally armed. Nahel's death was the third fatal shooting by police during a traffic stop this year, and comes off the back of a record 13 such shootings in 2021. People living in the banlieues say violence is common during stop and searches by police, particularly against teenage boys, leading to widespread fear of cops. That leads to boys fleeing from officers, as in Nahel's case, which in turn can prove fatal. Statistics show both shootings and searches disproportionately affect Black and Arab people, leading to claims of racism, which further worsen tensions and trust in the authorities.
Now, my thing is this, for my brothers and sisters who may, be of a different nationality or different persuasion, but is everyone always wrong? How come it seems to be that wherever a Western power land is, that the people are always saying the same exact things? Racism, police brutality, racism, police unfair living. Is everyone wrong? That's the thing, right? Everyone can't be wrong. But you see, Once again, prejudice, pride, and racism has made people say, well, why don't they just go to school? Why don't they just get a job? I mean, I worked hard. You know, people who say that, those are the people who like to, it's a cop out for accepting and acknowledging what has been done, right? For example, if someone's father owned a business, all right, and put their child's name in their will, so the business will be passed down to them, all the business, all the housing. That child now grows up as an adult and benefits from nothing of what they've done, but because of what their father did, right? You wouldn't say, well, that wasn't my fault, would you? You would just be happy about it, wouldn't you? But why does the same thing apply when people say, oh, things are coming from the past and reemerging? In fact, the Bible is the one that says this. Is it a spirit with people that's saying, as it was then, so it is today? Racism, brutality, you're killing, the drugs, and don't even start the drugs. Who creates the drugs? I mean, you see what's going on over there in Babylon. They're giving kits out and needle kits. Your own government, the very people that you have protested for, you have backed up, you have voted for, the same people are the ones who are distributing drugs to kill people. They give the guns to kill people. They hire the informants and the gangs and churches, right? I mean, and then they twist the narrative to make you think it's someone who has no means of doing this. Hey.
French officers also have a poor record when it comes to policing riots, leading to thousands of people getting injured, sometimes seriously. During the Yellow Vest demonstrations back in 2018, some 2,500 protesters were hurt, including several who lost eyes or limbs. Experts say this is because French riot cops are taught to escalate their own use of force to de-escalate tense situations and make liberal use of rubber bullets and batons.
Good grief.
Rather than making the situation better, critics argue this tactic actually makes it worse. While many of these issues have been known about for years, reforms have stalled or failed to get off the ground, and now history is repeating itself.
You heard it, the Bible. They say in the Bible all day, history is repeating itself.
For now, attention will be focused on ending the riots, which will inevitably involve more violence, more arrests, and more police crackdowns. Mr. Macron, who is already facing demonstrations over his pension reforms, will be hoping that happens as soon as possible. But if the past is any guide, then France has a lot more sleepless nights to come.
Now, they said the youth. Let's look at the scriptures, because so many people have been going to their feelings. But the Bible in Ecclesiastes 7:7 says, surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyed the heart. Now, I'm not sitting there saying that the people who are protesting are wise. Don't you put words in my mouth. But oppression makes people angry. Let's look at the word oppression, right? Let's look at the word oppression, because some people say, well, I don't think you're oppressed. Oppression means cruel or unjust use of power or authority. Okay. A pressing down of violence, press against, press together, press down, crush, put down, subdue, prosecute relentlessly. To press, to hold fast, to cover, to crowd, to compress also means what? To press against, to strike. The action of weighing on someone's mind or spirits. Whatever oppresses and causes hardship. I mean, there's so many things that can fall under the the uh, 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 the understanding of oppression. There's so many, right? Just like when I was in the U.S. years ago, I used to like hear the women every now and then they're protesting about equal rights, and I'm like, ever since I've been out the army, I haven't had one male supervisor. What are you? And I said, it's grievous actually for me. But I said, what are you talking about? What, what are you talking about? So they'll paint a picture and tell people, right? Look at this, right? You're oppressed because you are, they say, a female. You're oppressed because you have to have a child, but you're not oppressed because laws are made, for certain people to have jobs or certain people to go through back doors to get things, right? I mean, that's not oppression. It's not oppression, okay? And think about this, right? I want you to think about this. Cruel or unjust. This just don't go for people as well. And jobs and different things like this. Think about food, right? At least when I was living in the US back then, I know you can go to one part of a city, you'll find a Walmart. You'll find a low-end supermarket. But if you go to the really nice side, you'll find the best of food. You'll find all the organic, you'll find the freshest food, you'll find the exotic fruits. That's oppression, where you place one thing on the side and then seclude it from everyone else. That, that's fair to you? You think that's what Christ would want? Come on now. You know what oppression is? Putting chemicals in people's water, putting chemtrails in the air, taking people's children because they don't want to be a part of that community. That's oppression. That's oppression. So there was a report years ago that I think it was in 2020 or 2019. They said that in Dallas, I think it was Dallas or Fort Worth, that there was found a scandal in the CPS business. That's if anyone don't know, that's Child Protective Services. That over 80% of the cases were all black people, but yet Dallas is very diverse. Very diverse. But how do you get that's suppression, where you look to target certain people. Racial profiling, it's an oppression. And then think about it, right? What about all those people in America and in Europe who are wanting migrants who actually actually need help, and you're telling them to get out of your country. That's oppression. Someone's running for their life. But you may say, no, that's not the case. Well, guess what? Who is the one at your borders running it? It's your government. It's your government. Don't look at the people badly. Who traffics children? Your government. Come on. Hey, people sitting up there, you have so much energy to say build a wall, but you won't have so much energy to find them all, right? Where's that same energy? All the missing kids in the US, right? You want to shout build that wall, but where's the same energy to say find them all, right? This is oppression. And those poor children, right? Those poor children. Moving forward, Psalms. Oh boy, here we go. Now we're about to get into some juice if you're still with me. Psalms 83. Here we go. Psalms 83, 1 through 12 reads, keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace and be not still, O God, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that have thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against them. I had to say the confederate. Okay. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites and of Moab and of the Hagarenes and Gebal and Ammon and Amalek and the Philistines and with the inhabitants of Tyre, Assur also is joined with them. They have holpen the children of Lot, Salah. Assyria is helped, Ammon and Moab. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb and like Zeb, yea, all their princes as Zebah and Zalmunna, who said, let us take to counsel the house of God in possession. Now, here's the thing, right? Do you believe in the Bible? Are you sure? Because the Bible said that there was quite a lot of people who said, let's cut off the children of Israel from being a nation. But who are those people? 1948, they would also be the same people as the people in Germany and never mind. Right? Also deriving from the Khazarian mountains, the Byzantium Empire, right? Don't tell no one. But they said, hey, let us cut them off from being a nation. But yet the world upholds these people. Which one do you believe? Do you believe God in the Bible, or do you believe the world? Now I'm going to show you. You may say, is this boy a child of Israel? Well, I can tell you Libya, Tunisia, and Algeria were once one nation. So Libya is a part of Ham, but we do not know that child's lineage. However, the children of Israel have dispersed into every nation. Okay. Now, it says, for they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. Let's look at this word. I love learning. You're gonna see all the who loves God's word, right? Now, confederate against thee, to unite in a league or alliance. Well, the EU, the League of Arabs, the Arab Springs, right? Isn't those leagues, right? They said, oh, let's cut them all off, right? I mean, allied, united in the league. I mean, you had the Confederate Party and all those people in the U.S., right? Same thing in Europe as well, right? I mean, where do you think U.S. came from? It's an extension of Europe. Everyone knows this, right? So they said they have consulted with one consent. Is that why the narrative seems to be the same from one country to another? I think so. Let's see. Let's dive through history and let's see. Hmm. Hey, better yet, let's see. Fair use.
So France is burning, but where did the spark come from? Last week's shooting was certainly the trigger, but the embers were already smoking by then. Why? Because of immigration. And try to understand this beyond the left-right binary. France's demography has changed a lot in the last decades. Today, there are 7 million immigrants in this country. That's around 10% of the population. So take 10 people, and one of them will be an immigrant. Now, the concept itself is old in France. People began steadily migrating there by the 1830s. In the 20th century, it was considered the most open country in Europe, open arms, open borders. Many of these migrants came from French colonies, like Algeria, Morocco, and Tunisia. During the World Wars, France needed more manpower, so in came the migrants. But this was a colonial relationship. France was the all-conquering, civilizing power. The Arab and African migrants were just labor. It wasn't a relationship of equals. And this attitude is at the root of today's problems, because France has never apologized for its colonial past.
Doesn't it sound like the U.S.? Everybody always talking about in the U.S. reparations. It look. You think the Most High like this? I don't know.
Hasn't accepted war crimes in North Africa, nor has it agreed to pay reparations. So in their mind, there is no problem. They say France is the land of equality, liberty, and fraternity, the temple of civil rights. Surely such a country doesn't have discrimination. Most French leaders believe this. I'll give you an example. In France, it's illegal to conduct census or surveys based on race and religion. Why? Because apparently the society is colorblind. But if you solve a problem, you must first acknowledge it. And France isn't doing that. By 1975, around 6% of their population was of foreign origin. They were immigrants. And that share did not change for 25 years. But in the 21st century, there was rapid growth. As I mentioned, the share is now 10%. So there was zero change from 1975 to 2000, and then a 4-point rise in the next 23 years. Where did these people come from? Around 13% of them are of Algerian descent, 12% are from Morocco, 4.4% from Tunisia, and 3.8% from Turkey. So these are all non-white people, most of them Arabic, African, and Muslim. And don't think these people barged in without invites. France needed these migrants. A 2022 report claimed around 400,000 jobs are vacant in the country because there is no one to work. Why do you think Macron increased the retirement age? Because there is a labor shortage. That was one of the reasons. So France needed the foreign labor, which is why millions of people migrated in the last 2 decades. Plus, you have illegal migration. Not everyone takes the legal route into France. Many sneak in and live as undocumented migrants. There were around 200,000 of them in 2014. Now there are more than 400,000. Most of them live in close-knit communities doing odd jobs. This year, France passed a new immigration law. It's centrist, just like President Macron. It makes legalization of undocumented migrants easier. At the same time, it bolsters deportations at the border. So that's how so many migrants landed up in France. The next step was assimilation, to integrate these migrants into the French society and nation, and that is where they failed. You see, there are two kinds of societies in the world. One where diversity is accepted and promoted. Countries like the United States and India. You lead your life based on your culture. Then there are
You see, they've been killing people in both those countries, and they hang children in India. They need to stop.
places where one size fits all, like France. It doesn't matter if you're an African Muslim or an Arab immigrant. You must change your culture to live in France. You must become a so-called Frenchman. Obviously, not everyone is interested. And this has led to continued alienation of immigrants. It has created a divide. Other European countries have fared better, relatively better. Germany, for instance, has around 24% immigrant population. Yet their integration has gone relatively well. So that's one part of the problem. The immigrants are not integrated in the society. The other part is a growing fear among the white French population. Many of them are living in insecurity. What if they become a minority in their own country? What if France becomes a Muslim country? These fears are widespread, and they reflect in the rise of France's far-right party. These people are fiercely anti-immigration, and their fears often combine with racism, sometimes very publicly. Let me show you a headline. In 2020, two top doctors, French doctors, had a brainwave. Why not test the Wuhan virus vaccine in Africa, as if the continent is their testing lab? It tells you how ingrained racism is. And this attitude reflects.
Told you some of the nastiest people I met.
Arab people are 20 times more likely to be stopped by cops, 20 times more than white people. In the last 3 years, there have been 21 fatal police shootings.
And you know what? I'm thinking this is also the same in the US. Somebody tell me. You know how human trafficking is possible? You create racism and you tell people that one group of other, you tell the population that, hey, look at those people. They're thugs, they're this, they're that, they're low, they got no education. And while you're looking at them, they're human trafficking kids. Your CEOs, your professors, your police officers, all those people doing that stuff. So who's the real demons? Who's the real man, never mind. Never mind. You're looking at one group of people because of where they live or the demographics or their skin color, but yet it's the people who are in charge and the people who don't look like the people who they're saying to look at is the ones who's committing the most devilish crimes. I mean, look at Abramovic, right? She does blood, sacrifices and all these people. Come on, man. And these people free to walk as they go. Like they got files on Clinton and Trump and Obama and all these people talking about Pizzagate and all this stuff with kids, and they still walking free. Come on now. I'm not buying the narrative that they want to, and it's sad though because people, the normal people like you and me, they won't recognize that has been the whole goal. Let's divide the people while we do the most evil. That's what the goal has been. And by goodness, they have succeeded.
Most of the victims were black or Arab. What does that tell you? Systemic racism exists in France, but it is unacknowledged and hence festering. The immigrant population often lives in ghettos. Their unemployment rate is 12% compared to the national average of 7%. Remember, this is an estimate. You can't know the real numbers because race-based surveys are illegal in this country. But you know what? France cannot keep hiding behind its revolutionary values. Those were created for a white Christian country. It doesn't reflect modern day France. And don't forget, those ideas of equality and liberty only apply to the white Frenchmen. In the colonies, none of those apply. And that attitude persists to this day. Let me also tell you something you may not know. Some countries in West Africa still pay a special tax to France.
Say, oh my, now they could now. Wait, say what? Say, no, no, racism doesn't exist. No. Why do these people keep talking about reparations? We gave it all to Ukraine. Boy, some people, you're going to find millions of people on the wrong side of history. Because you think the Most High likes this? You colonize people and then still have them paying and then call Africa dirty because they have to pay you. What? Are you disgusting?
Frenchmen. In the colonies, none of those apply. And that attitude persists to this day.
And that's where racism also comes in, because now people in Africa, they're sitting, and also in the Caribbeans too, and South America, you have people saying, I don't like this white person or this person or that person. And then they're trying to explain to white people or people of European descent, and they're like, no, that doesn't exist. And they're like, read, look, open your eyes. People have been hurt because of these policies.
And that attitude persists to this day. Let me also tell you something you may not know. Some countries in West Africa still pay a special tax to France. They call it the colonial tax. These countries use CFA franc as their currency. So they're required to...
And East Africa too. Djibouti.
For 50% of their reserves.
50%? Do you know what 50% is? 50%. I wonder why Europe looked the way it do. You're stealing from people. 50%. So think about it like this, right? If a barrel of oil costs $100, or if it costs $50, right? And I take from you 50, and all you have left is 50 for your whole country. How can your country survive? Yeah, I'm angry. I'm angry because there's a lot of people in the world who have been shunned and looked down upon, yet people are always dismissing what they're saying, but yet it is true. And so you're turning a blind eye to another human being.
The French central bank. The CFA franc is pegged to the euro. On paper, this may seem harmless and neutral. But look at the optics. Former colonies are paying their colonizers. All these factors have created major fault lines in France. There is fear, alienation, and desperation.
So don't sit there and tell people that racism doesn't exist, because if it didn't, they would say, you don't need to pay this no more.
The perfect cocktail for disaster. So now is a crucial moment in French history. The leaders should accept that France has changed. They brought in people for cheap labor, among other things. Now they must make room for them. If not, the cycle of violence could continue.
Hey, it's sad, man. It's so, so sad. But what is she talking about? Fair use, I don't own the rights to this. What is she talking about?
It's been almost 6 decades since Algeria won independence after 132 years of French colonial rule. And even though the era was marked by torture, murder, looting, and the age of identity, France still won't apologize for its colonization of Algeria. France occupied Algeria from July 1830 up until July 1962 and committed brutal colonial crimes. In 1871, France passed the Indigenous Peoples Law. It confiscated the majority of arable land in the country and allowed European settlers to exploit the wealth of the nation.
So they passed a law in their own land to say, we're going to take the. There got to be a tipping point for people. And they wonder why. They said, they wonder why people migrate to their country. You have to think, what have we done that they want to come to? Right?
While expelling Algerians to mountainous and arid regions and restricting their movement.
Goodness.
Europeans also took control of most of Algeria's trade, manufacturing, and mining. Europeans got rich while Algerians got poor. By 1953, more than 60% of Algerians were classified as destitute. The French also placed higher colonial taxes on Algerians than on Europeans.
They did what? Place higher tax. So you mean to tell me that people still have a chance like others? No, you see, the thing is, there are some people, Europeans of European descent, who are very afraid of what the Most High is about to do and what He is doing. Because as you sow, so shall you reap.
And looted the country's treasures, including the Emirates Palace in Algiers. During the conquest beginning in 1830, France demolished major metropolitan mosques, burned down villages, and desecrated cemeteries. In the 19th century, Algerians relied on religious schools in order to learn to write. The French disrupted these schools by taking away their source of income, or Islamic endowments, and then refusing to allocate the schools any money. This led to high levels of illiteracy, and Arabic was sidelined in school curriculum. In 1836, France opened the first Catholic missionary school in Algeria as part of a civilizing mission for a small number of children.
Say what? Now I'm no way promoting Islam, but you did what? A civilizing well, weren't they civilized before you came? Never mind. Who said they wanted your help? Never.
The curriculum was entirely French. In the first 3 decades of French conquest in Algeria, 100,000 French settled in the country. During this time, it's estimated that 500,000 to 1 million Algerians out of a total population of 3 million died because of war, disease, and famine.
Good grief.
In 1945, after the Allied victory against Nazi Germany, pro-independence protests broke out. The French responded by launching a 15-day military campaign around a town
15. Man.
Eastern part of the country. They imposed military law and murdered men, women, children, and the elderly. 44 villages were destroyed. Algerian official figures say that 45,000 Algerians were massacred, while many French and Western historians say that between 15,000 to 20,000 people were killed. Now,
they always like to lower the numbers when other people are, but raise the numbers for the never mind.
Years later, the war for independence began, and 1.5 million Algerians lost their lives. In 2018, France admitted that during the war, France passed laws which allowed forces to detain suspects and systematically torture them. The torture included waterboarding, electrical shocks, being buried alive, being thrown from helicopters, and sexual assault and rape.
Thrown from helicopters and being buried alive.
Many Algerian women were systematically raped and tortured. The French carried out 17 nuclear tests between 1960 and 1966 in the Algerian desert. Some were carried out after independence under agreement between the two countries. The underground shafts were not properly sealed during the experiments, and many people living near the sites reported birth defects and cancer. Activists believe the site is still contaminated and have campaigned for the French to clean up the area, but nothing has happened. In 2021, President Emmanuel Macron said France would set up a memory and truth commission to review its colonial past in Algeria.
Don't that sound the same as what they did in the U.S.?
The recommendation for the commission came from a state report in Algeria which aimed to achieve reconciliation of memories between the two countries.
Wow.
But despite the brutal French colonial legacy in Algeria, the report ruled out France issuing an official apology or the possibility of any reparation.
Wait. You mean to tell me the people who deserve reparations are not getting it, and you reap what you sow? You can only know that bad is coming to these European countries. What you've done. Come on. Come on. So when the Most High said they consulted together, they cut people off from being a nation. They cut people off from being a nation. You committing genocide, right? But wait. They only say genocide for only one group of people because no one else matters, right? Everyone else is disposable, right? They've taken crafty counsel. They make laws to invade someone's land and then say, oh, you owe me because I took over your land. I killed your people and that was hard work. So now you're going to pay me. Come on. These nations are sick, man. These nations are sick. And this is why I said, how dare you as believers of the Most High ride and bat for any of these politicians when these politicians, they got to read all this crap and they got to know exactly what they're backing themselves into. How dare you? And you think they would share with you and me? Never. Never. Let's keep going. Psalms 2, 1 through 3 reads, why do the heathen rage and people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. The Most High said, why do the heathen rage? That's what David was saying. They sit there and think bad things against us. Why are they upset? We didn't do nothing. Oh, you don't believe that? Wisdom of Solomon. Check this out. Check out what the Bible says. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright. Our life is short and tedious. And in the death of man there is no remedy, neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. For we are born at all adventure, and we shall be hereafter as though we had never been. For the breath in our nostrils is as smoke and a little spark in the moving of our heart, which being extinguished, our body shall be turned into ashes, and our spirit shall vanish as the soft air. And our name shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance. And our life shall pass away as the trace of a cloud, and shall be dispersed as a mist that is driven away with the beams of the sun and overcome with the heat thereof. For our time is a very shadow that passeth away, and after our end there is no returning, for it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again. Now watch this, right? Come, this is the evil. Come, let us enjoy the good things that are present. You only have one life to live, right? And let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth. Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no flower of the spring pass by us. Wow. Right? Let us crown ourselves with rosebuds before they be withered. Let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place, for this is our portion, and our lot is this. Let us oppress. Wait, what? Let us oppress. Wait. Don't tell me you're oppressed. You live in America. You live in Europe. You live in Australia. Don't tell me you're oppressed. You live in Mexico. You live in Peru. You live in Japan. You live in Russia. You live in Georgia. You live in Romania. You live in Turkey. Don't tell me you're oppressed. You live in Dubai. Is that the evil say, let us oppress the poor righteous man, let us not spare the widow. Nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. Let our strength be the what? Let our strength be the what? Let our strength be the police officers, the law of justice, your judges. That's what law of justice is, right? Let our strength be the Supreme Court, the judicial system, right? So you supporting that, you are a part of the problem, because Christ would not be supporting anything that oppresses another human being. It says, let our strength be the law of justice, for that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. So they said, yeah, they're weak, they're stupid, they're nothing to us. That's what they say. Therefore, let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, meaning he doesn't want to do the things we do. He is clean contrary to our doings. He upbraideth us with our offending the law, and objecteth to our infamy the transgressions of our education. What? So they always say, you did this, you did that. Yeah. So they understand the righteous know that they continue to break their own laws, their own writings and teachings. They're the greatest hypocrites. For he professeth to have the knowledge of God, and he calleth himself the child of the Lord. He was made to reprove our thoughts. He is grievous unto us, even to behold, for his life is not like other men's, his ways are of another fashion. This is what the evil should see you as. This is how they should look at you. We are esteemed on of him as counterfeits. He abstaineth from our ways as from filthiness. Amen. He pronounceth the end of the just to be blessed. Amen. And make his boast that God is his Father. Let us see if his words be true. Let us prove what shall happen in the end. For if the just man be the Son of God, he will help him and deliver him from the hand of his enemy. So you mean to tell me that they do things to tempt the Most High? That's correct. Let us examine him with despitefulness and torture. Didn't they say they waterboard and rape women systematically and threw people out of helicopters and bury people alive? And you know, it's just not the Europeans. The Arabs are going to get their portion too. Because you have also, and I can do this on another lesson, but the Arabs, the only reason they have Muslims is through what? Fear. Fear of conversion. So, hey, it will kill you. Honor killings. That's the only reason. There's no other reason. They said, let us condemn him with a shameful death. See that? When they die, they say, oh, how could you? Look at you. For by his own sayings he shall be respected. Such things they did imagine and were deceived, for their own wickedness had blinded them. As for the mysteries of God, they knew them not. Neither hoped they for the wages of righteousness, nor discerned a reward for blameless souls. For God created man to be immortal and made him to be an image of his own eternity. Nevertheless, through envy of the devil, it says, through envy of the devil came death into the world, and they that do hold of his side do find it. Now look at that. Look at that. And it's so crazy because it is very crazy. You know why? Because people will say, you hear this from people in Europe, you hear this from people in the US, Canada. If you don't like our country, then leave. Well, I'm quite sure. I know there's quite a lot of people who actually would like to leave. Why don't you help them then? Right? I mean, if you're going to be honest, don't just say it, be about it, right? You really love your brother and sister so much to say, if you don't like it, leave, then help them leave. Right? If not, then why don't you leave first? But it's always the people who have colonized who tell others to leave. Because French people are Germans. You're not fooling me. I'm not stupid. I know what the Bible's taught. Genesis 10 of the nations. I'll show you. Watch this. Watch this. Let me show you something, right? Genesis 10, right? Now, I went and showed y'all what? I showed y'all that Frank is the French. Okay. The name France is derived from Frank, right? The Franks, the Germans, right? Now watch this. I'm gonna go to the sons of Japheth, and I'm gonna go to the Ashkenazis. You know, like the Ashkenazi Jews that they keep saying they are. They Ashkenazi, all right. Watch this. Ashkenaz, Armenia, also, and then the German race is from the Ashkenaz, which means all those people are Japhetic. And the Italians are Kittim and so forth, so forth. But yeah, why don't you go back to your land? As you tell others, right? You reap what you sow, right? You reap what you sow. Whatever you sow, you shall reap. And a bunch of hypocrisy, right? They don't want to keep that same energy for everyone, not even for themselves, but for others. That's how you know the people are so full of hate. It's disgusting. Now, you may say, I don't believe what you say. Now, in Isaiah 34:8, it says, for it is the day of the Lord's vengeance and the year of recompense for the controversy of Israel. Now, What is a controversy? Some people say that's controversial. Yeah, it's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. Right? They don't give the proper. So I'm gonna just show you. I did that on purpose. Right? Let's look up the word controversy. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Controversy, disputation, a debate, prolonged agitation of contrary opinions, right? A disagreement, a turning against. Controversy also meant against. Controversy also meant to turn. So you tell me this, right? We got Revelations 2:9 and 3:9, and then the Most High says the day of the Lord is for what? The controversy of Zion. What is going on here? It's something that the Most High disagrees with, that the world is agreeing with. It's something that the Most High is against, but the world seems to be supporting. It says contrary opinions. Could it be that the people, that sounds like a controversy, right? That sounds like a controversy. I think so. Just my thought, right? Now, upon, all of that, right? You sit there and think the people would be mad, right? For all the things that's going on, right? And I wanna share something with y'all that y'all didn't even know, right? And let me actually just run through these articles. Let me show you. And there's no specific order until I get to the one. You know, just showing you what's there. And this was the mayor going, they ran into his house. Okay. Goes to Switzerland. Okay. Now, I want to share this with you. Wait. Is it that one? This one. Iran condemns MEK rally in France as support of terrorism. Now, this was the same time of the protests, right? And you heard in the first video, the man was saying people were screaming Allah Akbar, right? Right? Now watch this. This is Iran. They told you. This is Iran. They told you, oh, they're the big boogeyman, and right? This Tehran blasts Paris for allowing meeting and protests. Wait, this is the same time that they're blaming it on this boy that was shot, right? It says, for allowing meeting and protest by dissident groups and thanks Albania after raid on what Iran considers a terrorist organization. Iran has lashed out against France for allowing a meeting and rally by blacklisted Mujahideen-e-Khalq, calling him MEK or the People's Mujahideen Organization, which Tehran says amounts to support terrorism. French officials need to make up for their past mistakes in backing the murderers of Iranian people and focus on the country's deep internal crisis and discriminatory behavior against its own citizens. That's what he said. Now, wait, hold on. Former Vice President of the US and ex-Prime Minister of UK back exiled Iranian opposition group in Paris. The same time. It says they addressed the meeting outside of Paris of the People's Mujahideen group outlawed by Tehran as thousands of supporters of the group staged a rally in the center of French capital that had initially been banned by the police. Wait, someone look at this. You thought it was just about the boy, right? You thought it was just about the young man. No, no. Now, you just let people who were banned by the police go. You don't think they're going to join in? Because you can't touch them now, right? And you wouldn't think it was them, right? Hmm. Hmm. Come on. So, something don't seem right. Paris court reverses French police ban on Iranian MEK rally. Paris court on Friday reversed a decision by French Capitol Police to ban an upcoming rally of an Iranian opposition group, the Mujahideen. The court dismissed the police argument of the rally posing a risk of an attack, saying it interfered with basic freedom to protest. Say what? At the same time? That's not suspicious. So you're just gonna let them protest? And notice, now I'm not a fan of Gen Z, but this is wrong what they did. They said it was a young people, but they release it. They're releasing terrorist groups. I'm gonna be fair. I'm not gonna respect the persons. I'm not a fan of Gen Z, but that ain't right. That's cold right there. Look what it said. The court said the ban excessively violated the fundamental freedom to demonstrate. Now, but you turn the internet off over the young boy that was shot by the police. Am I missing something? This don't sound right, does it? Look what it says. The protesters will also provide extra private security. They'll be there for a limited time and be confined to one area. And they get security. Boy, this world is a joke. This world is a no. So if you didn't know who the Muad'Din was, right? Now why? Iran is saying, hey, what are you doing? Meet the Taliban, right? And hold that while but meet the Taliban, okay? Oh, not a robot. 1 second. Now, I want you to understand, brothers and sisters. They saying Allah Akbar and things is going crazy, right? The Mujahideen means those who engage in jihad. And you release these people. And I first learned this being in the Middle East. I had a student years ago, and I asked him, "What's your name?" First day of school, he said, "My name is Mujahideen." I said, "What does that mean?" He says, "When I grow up, I'm gonna kill those who are not Muslim." I said, I said, "Most High, you got me in the school with kids who hate." Oh man, I was like, ooh, Most High. But you know what? Through the love that I had for Christ, I didn't see his name. I saw him as a student and ended up changing his mind. But anywho, this is what Mujahideen means. Okay. Means Muslims who fight on behalf of the faith or the Muslim community. Come on. Come on. Now, it was the Taliban. Taliban is part of the what? Afghan Mujahideen. Uh, let me see if I can get the right one because I think I missed the article I wanted to share. Give me one minute. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah, I have this one already. Oh, here we go. Look at that. Okay, here we go. So, Taliban in Afghanistan. Now, Iran is saying that the U.S. or the news is saying that the U.S. and the U.K. was supporting the Mujahideen. Now, how was the Taliban formed? The group was formed in the early 1990s by the Afghan Mujahideen, or the Islamic guerrilla fighters who had resisted the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan with the covert backing of the CIA. Oh, say, can you? And they still support their country, but your country is equipping every single terrorist group. So, with covert backing of the CIA and its Pakistani counterpart, the Inter Services Intelligence Directorate. Come on. So Joe Biden leaving all them soldiers or just dropping all the stuff there for them. They're buddies. Buddy, a baby. They love each other, right? They're friends. They scratch my back, you scratch yours. Okay, now you can take out all the Christians. You know how much we hate them, right? Because y'all do know they torturing the women and the children, and they executing all the men who believe and hold the Bible, right? They got cell phone checkpoints because they've confiscated all the Bibles, and people are holding the Bible in their phones. One verse can get you killed. But you can thank the US for that. And the UK. Yep. Europe. Good job. You got a lot of blood on your hands. Man. So controversy, right? You know, you're killing people. You created terrorist groups. You had the nerve to put it on the news. Oh my goodness, they doing this and can anyone see the organization? Council of Foreign Relations tells you that the Taliban is working with the CIA. People wonder why. It's so easy to serve the Most High and lose faith in humanity. Look at this. These dumb sheeple in this world, they're going for, oh, great, this country is great. And your country, your leaders kill people. Think about this, right? If the government is in charge and the lobbyists are in charge of making guns, right? How do gangs get guns? If you have a border and you have fentanyl and you have child trafficking, right? How does this stuff happen? Your government, right? Oh, watch this, watch this, watch this. From Mexico all the way to Tempe, Arizona, because I used to live there. I think it was in a Taco Bell that they found a trafficking cave underneath the bathroom from Tempe to Mexico. Now, how could you be so smart to just dig and just systematically pop up into a restaurant bathroom? You'd have to have what? Schematics and blueprints and all of that. Who that? Your government is the devil's. That's what they are. No one ever told you. That's the controversy. No one wonder where the children are. Oh, wait, hold on. Watch this, watch this, watch this. Y'all think I'm joking. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this, watch this, watch this. Let me see, let me see, let me see. Let me see. Let's see. And I just found out about this. Now, of course, I heard it differently. I want y'all to see this. I want y'all to check this out. Now, watch this. Once upon a time, there was a group called the Finders, right? And the CIA and the FBI denies this group, right? The FBI unlocked its vault and they shared all the documents of the Finders just recently, saying the case that sparked bizarre federal investigation into allegations of Satan worship and child P involving eccentric commune in Washington, D.C. Wait. The Finders was an intentional community and cult founded in Washington, D.C. in 1970 by a former Air Force Master Sergeant. These people are sick, man. They sick. So in short, if you didn't know, they would make children disappear from daycares. Public parks, daycares, you name it. Oh, say can't. Yeah. These countries don't care about children. They don't love you. They never will. And what's crazy is people will always support them. People will always support them. It's sad. Jeremiah 25. Jeremiah 25, 15 through. For thus saith the Lord God of Israel unto me, take the wine cup of this fury at my hand, and cause all the nations to whom I send thee to drink it. And they shall drink and be moved and be mad because of the sword that I will send among them. Then took I the cup at the Lord's hand and made all the nations to drink unto whom the Lord had sent me. To wit, Jerusalem and the cities of Judah and the kings thereof and the princes thereof, to make them a desolation and astonishment, a hissing and a cursing, as it is this day. Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and by the way, these are the children of Israel, okay, scattered. They're a curse, they're hissing, they're a byword. They live in not the greatest places. But moving forward, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and his servants and princes, and all his people, and all the mingled people, and all the kings of the land of Uz, and all the kings of the land of the Philistines, and Ashkelon, and Azah, and Ekron, and the remnant of Ashdod, Edom, Moab, and the children of Ammon, and all the kings of Tyrus, and all the kings of Zidon, and the kings of the isles which are beyond the sea, and to Dan, and Tamar, and Buz, and all that are in the utmost corners, and all the kings of Arabia, and all the kings of the mingled people that dwell in the desert, and all the kings of Zimri, and all the kings of Elam, and all the kings of the Medes, and all the kings of the north, far and near, one with another, and all the kingdoms of the world which are upon the face of the earth, and the king of Shishak shall drink after them. Therefore thou shalt say unto them, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, Drink ye and be drunken, and spew and fall and rise no more, because of the sword which I shall send among you. And it shall be, if they refuse to take the cup at thine hand to drink, then shalt thou say unto them, Thus ye shall certainly drink. For lo, I begin to bring evil on the city which is called by my name, and should be utterly unpunished. Ye shall not be unpunished, for I will call for a sword and upon all the inhabitants of the earth, saith the Lord of hosts. Therefore prophesy thou against them all these words, and say unto them, The Lord shall roar from on high, and utter his voice from his holy habitation. He shall mightily roar upon his habitation. He shall give a shout as they that tread the grapes against all the inhabitants of the earth. A noise shall come even to the ends of the earth, for the Lord hath a controversy with the nations. He will plead with all flesh. He will give them that are wicked to the sword, saith the Lord. So once again, this controversy is serious. How all these nations are treating people are serious. How they're treating the children of Israel, how they're treating the innocent, how they're treating the poor, how they're treating the widow, how they're passing bills, and people are just going on with their racism and prejudice and keep on going and keep on going and keep. Most High is heated. He said this is with all nations, because Israel is scattered through all nations. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, Behold, evil shall go from nation to nation. You heard it. It's going to be everywhere. And a great whirlwind shall be raised up from the coast of the earth, and the slain of the Lord shall be at the day from one end of the earth, even unto the other end of the earth. They shall not be lamented, neither gathered nor buried. They shall be dung upon the ground. Howl, ye shepherds, and cry, and wallow yourselves into the ashes, ye principal of the flock. And the principal means minister, by the way, just to show you. Principal means chief ministers. So the Most High saying, ministers, hey, start crying for your sheep, because not all of them gonna make it. He says, for the days of your slaughter and of your dispersion are accomplished, and ye shall fall like a pleasant vessel. And the shepherds shall have no way to flee. And these are the false shepherds, nor a principal of the flock to escape. Even some of the ministers won't escape. They're going to have to die with their flock as well. A voice of the cry of the shepherds and the howling of the principal of the flock shall be heard, for the Lord hath spoiled their pasture. Wow. And the peaceable habitations are cut down because of the fierce anger of the Lord. He hath forsaken his covert as a lion, for their land is desolate because of the fierceness of the oppressor and because of the fierce anger. So colonialism is oppression, and the Most High is coming for all these nations that have been living good. I mean, you even take it as look what the Australians and the Europeans did to Australia. Look what they did to the Tasmanian people. Right? You know the Tasmanians as what? What you guys know the Tasmanian as the cartoon, right? Everyone knew the Tasmanian devil, right? Let me get look what they did to the Tasmanian people. They slaughtered all these people, all right, for British colonization of Tasmania, right? There was tons of people. There was tons of people. Tons. So Europe and those of European descent, there's been, a problem here, right? And the Most High, he's about to settle it. He's starting to, right? The problem is people been believing a lie. And then the problem is you are disrespecting and mistreating people because you think something is yours. But you see, this was what Obadiah had said, right? Obadiah has said, the Most High said, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the cliffs of the rock, right? Thou exalt thyself as the eagle. All men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border, right? What did Edom say? The Most High said, excuse me, I have made thee small among the heathen, the smallest people. No wonder why a lot of people feel that they're becoming the minority. You have told the black and brown people of the world that they're a minority. Are you crazy? I'd just be sitting there like, okay, the Caribbeans, Mexico, Ecuador, South America, Central America, Africa, um, Malaysia, love the peoples out there, Australia, uh, yeah, you got Vietnam, you got the Philippines, you got Japan, uh, there's black and brown people in China. Let's not talk about what they call the Middle East, right? You got people in Iran. You got people in Pakistan, India. Hello, right? Come on. But then everyone else is a minority. No. So my brothers and sisters who may be on the other side of this understand that this is all about the truth and telling why. Now, Most High doesn't like pride. You're not going to find a prideful bone in my body in regards to this. I'm prideful in serving the Most High, but you know, every nation has done some evil, but this is about nations who have deceived others into believing that they are something that they're not, and also tarnishing the Most High's name, right? And also passing laws and oppressing people through what they want people to believe should be the biblical standard, right? And that UAE prince, right, so-called prince, I'm sitting there like, this man is spitting some stuff because they're sitting there saying you don't understand people, and everyone doesn't want to be this way. Everyone doesn't want to be a part of that gay club. I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want my children to be a part of that. I don't want anyone's children to be a part of it. I mean, who wants to live like that? Who wants to support that? Who wants to support things they don't want to? And then, and what's so crazy is the U.S., right? And these European nations are the only ones pushing LGBT churches. You're the least of the godliest people. I don't care about the other pagan religions. I don't care about them. They got the wrong answer. But you know what you're doing, and you just simply want to tarnish the Bible. You want to blaspheme the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. It's only your nations. So that's the problem. That's the problem. Okay. Isaiah 51. Isaiah 51, verse 1. It reads, Hearken to me, ye that follow after righteousness, ye that seek the Lord. Look unto the rock whence ye are hewn, into the hole of the pit whence ye are digged. Look unto Abraham your father, and unto Sarah that bare you. For I called him alone, and blessed him, and increased him. For the Lord shall comfort Zion. He will comfort all her waste places. He will make her wilderness like Eden. Amen. Told you we're going back to Eden for those who watching my New Heaven and New Earth lesson. Her desert like the garden of the Lord. Joy and gladness shall be found therein, thanksgiving and the voice of melody. Hearken unto me, my people, and give ear unto me, O my nation. For a law shall proceed from me, and I will make my judgment to rest for a light of the people. My righteousness is near, my salvation is gone forth, my arms shall judge the people. The isles shall wait upon me, and on my arm shall they trust. Lift up your eyes to the heavens, and look upon the earth beneath. For the heavens shall vanish away like smoke, and the earth shall wax old like a garment, and they that dwell therein shall die in like manner. But my salvation shall be forever, and my righteousness shall not be abolished. Hearken unto me, ye that know righteousness. the people in whose heart is my law. Fear ye not the reproach of men, neither be ye afraid of their revilings. For the moth shall eat them up like a garment, and the worm shall eat them like wool. But my righteousness shall be forever, and my salvation from generation to generation. Awake, 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 awake. Put on strength, O arm of the Lord. Awake, as in the ancient days and the generations of old. Art thou not in that hath cut Rahab and wounded the dragon? Art thou not it which hath dried the sea and the waters of the great deep, that hath made the depths of the sea a way for the ransom to pass over? Amen. Therefore the redeemed of the Lord shall return and come singing unto Zion. And everlasting joy shall be upon their head. They shall obtain gladness and joy, and sorrow and mourning shall flee away. I, even I, am he that comforteth you. Who art thou, that thou shouldest be afraid of a man that shall die? Don't be afraid. So I'm going to show you something after. And of the Son of Man, which shall be made as grass. And forgettest the Lord thy Maker, that hath stretched forth the heavens, and laid the foundations of the earth, and hast feared continually every day, because of the fury of the oppressor, as if he were ready to destroy. And where is the fury of the oppressor? Now, I want you to pay attention to this, because some people may not believe that they're oppressor, but you see, the Most High is not looking for the feelings of the oppressor. He's looking for the feelings of the oppressed. So why would the oppressor ever feel like they're oppressing, right? It says, the captive exile hasteneth that he may be loosed, and that he should not die in the pit, nor that his bread should fail. But I am the Lord thy God, that divided the sea, whose waves roared. The Lord of hosts is his name. And I have put my words in thy mouth, and I have covered thee in the shadow of my hand, that I may plant the heavens and lay the foundations of the earth, and say unto Zion, thou art my people. Awake, awake, and stand up, O Jerusalem, which has drunk at the hand of the Lord of the cup of his fury. Thou hast drunk in the dregs of the cup of trembling, and wrung them out. There is none to guide her among all the sons whom she hath brought forth, neither is there any that taketh her by the hand of all the sons that she hath brought up. These two things are come unto thee. Who shall be sorry for thee? Desolation and destruction, and the famine and the sword. By whom shall I comfort thee? Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets as a wild bull in a net. They are full of the fury of the Lord, the rebuke of thy God. Therefore hear now this, thou afflicted and drunken, but not with wine. Thus saith the Lord, and the God that pleadeth the cause of his people. Behold, I have taken out of thy hand the cup of trembling, even the dregs of the cup of my fury, that thou shalt no more drink it again. Now, did you understand this? He said, those who are afflicted and drunken, but not with the wine of his cup, which is the wine of wrath. But I will put into the hand of them that afflict thee, which have said to thy soul, bow down, that they may go over, and thou hast laid thy body as the ground and as the street to them that went over. Doesn't that sound like slavery? You gonna bow before me. Hey, you gonna do what I say. Hey, I told you don't look my way when I'm walking by. You say yes, sir. No, sir. You listen to me. Now, this clearly says here that the Most High is going to afflict those who have afflicted the afflicted, who have afflicted the oppressed, who's put them in submission. Doesn't it clearly say that? It does. Right? Look what it says: to depress, to prostrate, to bow south, to crouch, to fall down, to humbly. Look what it says: do obeisance, do reverence, make to stoop. Come on now. Come on now. Come on. Watch this, right? A bow or courtesy, an act of reverence made by an inclination of the body or the knee, right? Making people submit, right? Now it clearly says that, right? It's just a matter of time before the Most High decides to finalize. But I'm going to show you because you're wondering, why is this important? Because he's giving this cup and removing it from the children of Israel to all the nations now. Now, let's look in Revelations. You got it. Revelations 8. It says, Revelations 14 and 8 reads, and there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into a cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever, and they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, and whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Yeshua. And I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Write, blessed are the dead which die in the Lord from henceforth. Yea, saith the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, and their works do follow them. Now, oh boy, here we go. And I looked, and behold, a white cloud. Upon the cloud one sat, like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, Thrust in thy sickle and reap. For the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. And he that sat on the cloud thrust his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple, which is in heaven, he also having the sharp sickle. Another angel came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, Thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse bridles, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. Now, you may say, well, Minister, it says Babylon is fallen. I read that on purpose, by the way, showing you that more nations will continue to be destroyed even after that wicked, adulterous Jezebel nation, Lilith nation, Babylon is finished. Yeah. I want you to understand that drink of the wine of the wrath of God is poured out, and many people will be tormented. Now, watch this. They're going to start releasing some angels. Watch. Watch. Right? Just watch. Now, I'm going to finish it off with Second Ezra. And I thought it was very interesting, right? Because Second Ezra 15, and I was reading and reading and reading. I said, wait a second. Some doesn't sound right. I kept reading and reading. I said, I want to read it again, read it again. And I'm like, okay. And then I remembered. So watch this. Second Ezra 15:46, it says, Thou Asia, thou art a partaker of the hope of Babylon. Now, when we think of Asia, right, we think of the lines that they gave us. But that's not actually true. Look what it says. Proconsular Asia, a Roman province. So this was called the West. Did you know Europe was used to be called Asia Minor? So Asia, yeah, guess what? Now Lydia, Pergamos, all these places. What? Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. All right. Let's see. Most High willing. Yeah, a second. Right. Now, you can't believe all of what they say, but I am well aware that quite a lot of this is true. So you type in things like modern day Ephesus, they're going to tell you Turkey. You type in Lydia, it's Turkey. But all these places are Asia. Now, obviously, the lines are skewed with biblical texts and geography today. So Turkey would have been actually a bit bigger. All right. But wanting to show you that Europe was a part of Asia. So when it says, Thou art partaker of the hope of Babylon, yeah, it's not just China, but more so Europe. Okay, more so Europe. Why? You may say, why? It says, Woe be, and watch this. Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her. It has decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee. Now, mind you, all the Europeans, what we call Europeans today, all the men in the Romans, they was all boy lovers. Okay, it was all boy lovers back then. They were filthy animals. And you know, and then you have, oh man, do we even need to say, don't they got like a Amsterdam and the red light district and all that nastiness going on over there, and they allow the women to be topless? Come on, come on. This is what the Most High is talking about, committing whoredoms. They just love to do it. It says, "Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. Therefore saith God." See that? Most High hates everything Babylon does, and he hates everything that Europe does. Is they one and the same? "I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, pestilence, to waste thy houses with destruction and death." I mean, we now this makes more sense when you say, "Oh, wait," and you see Europe is the Asia, because all these things have happened to Europe. It's like the tit for tat: Europe, America, Europe, America, Europe, America, right? "And the glory of thy people shall be dried up as a flower. The heat shall arise that is sent over thee." Now I'm sitting there thinking, don't they got heat waves in Babylon over there, and in the UK and all those places, right? In Europe. Oh, it's getting so hot. Most High said he turning up the heat. It's the Most High. That's why they want to block the heat, because the Most High said, "I'm going to turn it up." "Thou shalt be weakened as a poor woman with stripes, as one chastised with wounds, so that the mighty and lovers shall not be able to receive thee." "What I with jealousy have so proceeded against thee, said the Lord, if thou hadst not always slain my chosen, exalting the stroke of thy hand and saying over their dead when thou wast drunken, set forth thy beauty of thy countenance." So the Most High was saying, when they kill people, they make fun of them as they kill them. This is some sick people. It says, "Thy reward of thy whoredom shall be in thy bosom, therefore shalt thou receive recompense. Like as thou hast done unto my chosen, saith the Lord, even so shall God do unto thee, and shall deliver thee into mischief." Now I'm going to keep going. "Thy children shall die of hunger, and thou shalt fall through the sword, and thy cities shall be broken down." Now wait a second. They lied. This ain't China. This is Europe. And they cities being torn apart now, right? "And all thine shall perish with the sword in the field." So that means, brothers and sisters, by them saying that they are releasing jihadists, the mujahideen, guess what? The Most High is going to let it come through these people. He's going to let it come through them. You know why? Because remember the Europeans through Catholicism? Didn't they kill all the Christians through Constantine? Didn't they kill the prophets in Europe? I mean, the disciples. Didn't they hang Peter upside down? Right? I think they skinned Bartholomew alive. Right? That was Europe. Yeah. You deserve it. You deserve it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And then when it got out of hand, then you created Islam by the Knights Templar. Yeah. And any group that came against Islam that was better than them, you sent the Knights Templar out to go and kill them and partner up with them. And then you posed as Muslims to go in different countries so that when they would go there, they would have no problems and create their empire of Mujahideen. So now it's coming back to you because you created it, and now they're coming to kill. You see what reap what you sow happened? Yeah, Catholicism, they created the Muslims. That's what I said, Islam. Go and check it out. Go and do your searching. It says, they that be in the mountains shall die of hunger and eat their own flesh and drink their own blood for very hunger of bread and thirst of water. Thou as unhappy shalt come through the sea. Though as unhappy shall come through the sea and receive plagues again. Wait, what? So they're gonna try and flee just like the people on the boat going from Tunisia and Libya. That's how bad it's gonna be. Good grief. In the passage they shall rush on the idol city and shall destroy some portion of thy land and consume part of the glory and shall return to Babylon that was destroyed. They're gonna be like, no, we need somewhere to go. And thou shalt be cast down by them as stubble, and they shall be unto thee as fire, and shall consume thee and thy cities and thy land. You see this? And thy mountains and all thy woods and fruitful trees they shall burn up with fire. And thy children shall they carry away captive. And look what thou hast. They shall spoil it and mar the beauty of thy face. Just as you put other people in. You see that? You see that? So you see everything that is happening now, and watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this. I'm gonna show you something cool. You know that boy, right? That young man who was killed, right? Now here are some articles. All right, going to Switzerland. All right, and I'll put all these in the link. All right, deploying 45,000 troops. Yes, it said troops. All right. Now, uh, the all these European powers is in trouble. But look at this. Did anyone see that just last month, thousands of in France hold demonstrations against the government? This is all police officers, by the way. All police officers. Now, look at the switch, is how fast. It says over 400,000 to 600,000 of their police officers and law enforcement came out. And now all of a sudden they're coming back now. But I wanted to share that. But look, but watch this, watch this, watch this, watch this. Okay. I want to show you something. So the young man's name was Nahel, or Nahel. All right. All right. They block out the social media. Now I'm gonna bring it to you in the look what it says. France is reaping what it's sown with rioting kids. The Bible don't lie. I'm gonna show you something. Okay. Now, treating people as less than human. Now this, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Okay. And they also were doing the ban on the female head coverings. Now the police also said they're at war with the people. Come on, y'all a joke. You're not supposed to be at war with your own people, right? That's what it looked like. Now, this is a young man, right? And right, and other things, right? Now, I didn't get this here, but So I did some research, as I do, and I said, what is this young man? His name is Arabic, or Arabi, right? And his name means, well, that's not the one. One second. Oh wow, they really changed it. Oh, here it goes. Okay. His name means source of life, meaning the will to drink from the source of knowledge. All right. Now, he read the books of remembrance, and look what it says. Nahel also means protector, supporter, helper, victory, success. One who helps someone. Look at this, y'all. Who is that? Now, if I didn't know no better, I would say that the Most High is giving us a sign. He's giving us a sign that it's going to occur, and that whatever happens, Christ should be your source. Food, water, all of it. Whether you have a home over your head, a car, or nothing. This is what the Most High is trying to tell people. Okay, now, in other light, while people were protesting, Macron is looking to abolish the presidential limit and make himself the ruler. My friends. Yeah, that's cool, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, right? The UN people are protesting because the UN said it's excessive to call it racial profiling. So the people said we're gonna riot even more. And recently, look. That's today. Yesterday. Excuse me. French energy giant warns that France is gonna go through winter gas shortages. So burning everything down, and they're gonna be cold later. Okay. And I kept this one for the US accused of leaving innocent people stranded in Sudan. See, this is what these European powers do. And US is, like I said, an extension. They suck you dry for what they need you for and then leave you to die. Now, brothers and sisters, I want to show you what one last video that's emerging. And I want you, now, this video was last year, but I want you to understand that the president did not say, President Macron did not say that it's a certain people. He just said young people. But this is generation identity. This is a group called Generation Identity. This is all Gen Z, okay, in France. And look what they believe. And then tell me race wars and riots and different things will not come out of this. Fair use, I do not own the rights to this video.
Over the past decade, France has been hit by a series of Islamist terror attacks. In 2020, the beheading of a high school teacher sparked outrage across the country, prompting the government to pass a law putting restrictions on how Islam is practiced in France.
Ce à quoi nous devons nous attaquer, c'est le séparatisme islamiste.
Critics accused President Emmanuel Macron of using this law to appease the far right, which presented a growing threat to his party ahead of the 2022 elections. The government responded to these accusations by banning a far-right group called Génération Identitaire, or Generation Identity. Over the previous 10 years, Generation Identity had fundamentally reshaped far-right activism, not just in France, but across the world. My name's Tim Hume, and I cover the rise of the far-right in Europe for Vice.
Sommes la génération de la fracture ethnique, de la faillite totale du vivre ensemble, du métissage imposé.
In 2012, an ominous black and white video appeared online. It featured a series of people railing in French against a so-called forced mixing of races and what they described as an explosion of anti-white racism.
Ne vous méprenez pas, ceci n'est pas un simple manifeste, c'est une déclaration de guerre.
Generation Identity had been born.
Now, mind you, he said this is not a manifesto, but a declaration of war.
Not long after the manifesto video was launched, Generation Identity filmed themselves on top of a mosque that was still under construction in the French city of Poitiers, waving flares and chanting anti-Muslim slogans.
Central to the way that this movement does its business is a thing called metapolitics, and that's about saying that they need to capture culture in society and politics will happen downstream. And so Generation Identity don't stand in elections, for example. What they do is they do these stunts that they think will shock people, but also normalize things like anti-Muslim rhetoric in the public space. And with that normalization with time, they change the culture that allows Islamophobia to become more normal and more acceptable, which allows them to change society.
Refugees not welcome. That's what they said.
Generation Identity pushes the so-called Great Replacement narrative, a conspiracy theory that holds that Europe is being invaded and its people replaced by immigrants.
The ideology of replacism.
What does that sound like? Sound like America, don't it?
Wrong. Once you replace one population with another, it will not be the same.
The phrase was popularized by the French anti-immigration writer Renaud Camus, and has since become a rallying cry for white supremacists around the world, including those who carried out mass shootings in El Paso and Christchurch.
Europe is colonized by Africa in a much deeper way that Europe ever colonized Africa, because the colonization is now demographical, so it's much more serious.
In response to this so-called invasion, Generation Identity turned to using coded language to mask their dangerous and racist solution, which they termed remigration.
Generation Identity says you have to get active or be replaced. Generation Identity actually has this really pernicious idea that the way they would do this is essentially make life in these European countries so difficult for non-white people that they choose to leave. Hence, they will.
Now that is just pure demonic, right? Making life so miserable for people to leave.
Migrate away from Europe.
We want to make life difficult for people that are not from your culture. Forbidding there, for instance, forbidding the selling of halal fruit.
Dans une société délirante où les islamistes arrivent à s'infiltrer au sein de nos plus hautes institutions.
In the end, if people are not living on their own will because you made their life here impossible, you end up deporting them.
While Generation Identity's ideas were simply decades-old far-right narratives rehashed through the age of YouTube, what set the group apart was the style in which they were presented. Generation Identity deliberately left behind the violent, skinhead associations of the old far right. They tried to make its ideology respectable, perhaps even aspirational, with a slick, clean-cut aesthetic.
Generation Identity is a youth movement, right? It consciously targets young people. And to do that, it means they dress in a certain way. It means their videos are produced in a certain way.
They wanted to fend off all accusations of racism. So basically, they turned to culture to not talk about race because they knew that the accusation of racism or Nazism or fascism could politically discredit the movement.
Et ce qui nous rassemblait, ce qu'on avait au cœur, c'était cette défense de notre pays, cette défense de l'identité française et européenne que nous avions tous compris qu'elle était aujourd'hui menacée.
The German identity. That's a German.
You can wave a nice flag and you can wear nice trainers and have a nice haircut. But the fact of the matter is these are fascistic ideas being repackaged, right? And they can pretend that's not the case, but time and time again we've seen that.
This media-savvy approach, combined with a series of summer camps that featured a mix of lectures and self-defense classes, brought Generation Identity an international following, with chapters forming across Europe.
At the end of 2019, early 2020, the Generation Identity had branches in around 9 countries, and they actually had over 63 regional branches. It got to the point where actually it became a significant transnational far-right movement across Europe.
In particular, the Austrian branch and its leader, Martin Sellner, emerged as online stars of the fast-growing movement.
The most important person was Martin Sellner, and still is.
Every right-wing politician who's criticizing immigration is literally Hitler. And we are fed up with this. We are no racists, we are no anti-Semites or neo-Nazis. We just want to preserve our own ethno-cultural identity.
And from the beginning, there was this big fascination with him because he was young, he was charismatic.
What we're fighting now, first and foremost, is a free and open and fearless debate about the great replacement.
As Selma's star began to rise in the mid-2010s, a series of brutal jihadist terror attacks in Europe shocked the world.
After the terror attacks, they changed their discourse and they linked immigration to terrorism. All of a sudden, migrants are all presented as a potential terrorist threat.
On réclame notamment la remigration pour tous les djihadistes binationaux et étrangers. On réclame la fermeture de toutes les mosquées islamistes.
This is even how they framed, for instance, the refugee crisis, and that's why they demanded that European countries close their borders.
Generation Identity sought to exploit the attacks to justify their ideology and recruit more members. The group crowdfunded to charter a boat, which they planned to sail around the Mediterranean, harassing NGO ships which were trying to rescue migrants from drowning.
We will confront the NGOs on the open sea and tell them what the majority of Europeans think about their activities.
And here was a huge new step in far activism.
They everywhere.
It's putting people's lives at risk. And of course it got a huge amount of praise. Martin Sellner was at the front of this.
But despite their grand name to defend Europe, this stunt ended up as an embarrassing failure. The ship's equipment broke down, leading to them having to be rescued by one of the very NGOs they'd come to harass. Identity actually blocking migration to Europe was only ever a secondary concern.
If you want to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube,
the real point of
that's what hate gets you, boy. A cup of hate.
They succeeded.
Get you looking like a hypocrite. They should have kept them out there.
On the radar of the American far right, creating crucial new opportunities for fundraising.
They must.
Boy. And you saw a lot of the key figures in that movement, including really extreme neo-Nazis like the Daily Stormer website, the biggest and most extreme neo-Nazi website in the world, threw its weight behind the French Europe. David Duke, the former Ku Klux Klan Grand Dragon, said you need to donate to this.
We're talking about the ethnic cleansing of America and the destruction of the American way of life.
So the U.S. Klan and the European Klan work together, just so you know. So it's all a piece of the puzzle, you know. They're helping their people and whatever. It's all the same people.
In 2018, Generation Identity tried to build on this publicity by launching another Defend Europe operation. This time they threw on matching uniforms and trekked into the Alps to try and stop migrants from crossing from Italy into France.
Eh bien, si le migrant force le passage, c'est très simple. On appellera la gendarmerie qui aura l'obligation d'intervenir, de prendre en charge le migrant qui est en situation illégale en France, et la justice fera la suite.
It's doubtful whether the mission actually stopped a single migrant from moving anywhere. But once again, that was never really the point. The idea was simply to capture strong images for social media. But the problem with creating a movement focused on courting publicity is that eventually the authorities started to pay attention.
It did make lots of people who weren't taking them seriously, especially from a security perspective, say, actually, hang on a second, this isn't just people dropping banners. This is a big far-right movement that's coming across Europe and doing pretty extreme activism.
But when Generation Identity's downfall did arrive, it was triggered by events on the other side of the world.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Police in New Zealand are urging people to stay off the streets and to avoid mosques in the coming hours after mass shootings at 2 mosques in the city of Christchurch.
On March 15, 2019, Brenton Tarrant murdered 51 people at 2 mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand. Tarrant was a white supremacist who had disseminated a manifesto titled A Great Replacement. It gradually emerged that in the lead up to the attack, he had donated money to Generation Identity and exchanged emails with Salman, who had invited him to meet for a beer if he was ever in Austria. This link with Tarrant exposed the lie that they were supposedly a peaceful, law-abiding organisation.
The terrorists of Christchurch had money to give and singled out the Austrian identitarians for this donation.
This goes back to the idea is if identitarians say, get active or be replaced, he decided to get active. And the way he got active was to get weapons and go and kill 15 people. And this is what's so dangerous about identitarianism.
In the wake of the Christchurch attacks, social media organisations began a slow process of deplatforming Generation Identity, pushing them onto smaller, more obscure platforms and severely impacting the way they operated.
It affected them deeply because especially YouTube and Facebook, they had such a broad audience that it was always very easy for them to fundraise.
In January 2021, Generation Identity in France tried to regain some of this momentum by launching another anti-migrant mission, this time in the Pyrenees.
Nous appelons également la jeunesse de France et d'Europe à se révolter contre l'immigration massive et la destruction de notre identité. Cela commence avant tout par la protection de nos frontières.
But instead of generating YouTube clicks or stopping any migrants, the stunt only contributed to their eventual demise. A couple of months later, in March 2021, the French government slapped a ban on the group.
Par cette décision, nous mettons fin aux activités parfois violentes d'un groupe qui avait depuis fort longtemps coupé les ponts avec la République.
Notice he said they was cutting ties with it. How do you cut ties with some? Never mind.
Identitaire ne défendait plus des idées, il en était le bras armé de l'extrémisme et de la xénophobie.
The activists cannot organize any kind of demonstration under the name or symbols of Generation Identity. What the government attacked by banning Generation Identity was the brand. They can't use their brand anymore.
Et je pense qu'il y a une indignation générale face à cette atteinte grave à la liberté d'expression, justement à cette liberté d'association. Nous, ce que nous avons simplement voulu faire, c'était défendre nos frontières. Nous avons encore le droit en France de critiquer cette politique migratoire qui est désastreuse, et ça c'est un fait.
But many people question how effective the ban will be.
I think a ban can be effective, but we shouldn't be naive. The people don't go away, but they have to regroup, they have to rethink, they have to try to escape the laws.
But despite the decline, the manipulative tactics and ideas of Generation Identity look set to impact the far-right scene in Europe for years to come.
I think one of the things that's been very successful is they have managed to find a language that allows them to portray extreme ideas in a moderate way. They have managed to find a means of activism which excites some young people, and they have managed to present themselves as a movement that gets things done. These ideas are no longer just talked about in these quite extreme demonstrations that GI do. You could hear it from far-right political parties and even just right-wing political parties in various parts of Europe.
So, brothers and sisters, to end our lesson, when someone tells you that it's not about race, it is. The Bible said it. Mark 13, Matthew 24, Luke. The Bible said nation against nation. That's race against race. Now, I showed you that they were releasing the Mujahideen and other terrorist groups who believe in waging jihad. So in Europe, it's going to happen a lot more. For those who are not in Europe, do understand that you are not exempt. Okay. These groups like Generation Identity and, you know, gangs and different groups, all kinds of groups, right? You know, Mujahideen's. I tried to show a little bit of both, right? Mujahideen's and Generation Identity. All these groups exist everywhere you go. So no one is exempt. The best thing you can do is make sure that your soul is prepared to endure until the end, and make sure that your wisdom or your knowledge gives you enough discernment so that when your time comes to shine light in some of the most chaotic times that we are promised according to prophecy, you will be ready. With that being said, brothers and sisters, for those in Europe, stay safe. For those outside of Europe, stay safe. And this was the foundation of decay. Why? Because as you sow, you will reap, and the Most High is coming to collect on how people have treated one another. Shalom.
A lifetime of pain, struggle seems eternal. My pain given to you, pages from my journal. Evil's always thriving, the world of the devil. Waiting for your son and the score you will settle. My brothers get killed and my sisters are enslaved. Nobody really cares cause it's money that they crave. Oh Abba, who art in heaven, come now. I long to see evil demolish and knees bow. A glad day for some, a sad day for many. Sins aside and risen, and hell will have plenty. What can I say? And what can I do as I beg for mercy daily as I wait for you? Baptized by water, but the world needs fire. They didn't learn once, so their sins you'll retire. The righteous do mourn, the wicked are ungrateful. Sins of the world unnatural to hateful. They uplift their kind, the sons of perdition. Nothing stays pure, they serve us from hell's kitchen. Sanity has sank and AI has risen. Cashless society and next stop is prison. The heavens will fold and angels come swift. Terror for the evil, to the holy it's a gift. Without you, where would the world be? We're lot in these times, protect us as we flee.
I see fire inside the mountain, I see fire burning the trees, and I see fire hollow in soul, I see fire blood in the breeze, and I hope that you remember me.
Let my name be in heaven. I failed many tests, but I learned from the lesson. I know I fall short, far from your glory. I pray I make you smile, and not a failed story. You created us with love, we disappoint daily. Have mercy on us, Abba. The world's all crazy, we're the light of the world, and they are the dark. Kerosene on the devil, all it takes is a spark. Spark to expose evils, bring them to the light. Fate signed and delivered, no need for a fight. Stubborn through the days and stubborn through the night. A promise from Omega, refuse birthright. They won't stop, they'll resist to the end. As their flesh stands ready, but their spirit will descend.
I see fire inside the mountain, I see fire burning the trees, I see fire hollow in soul, I see fire blood in the breeze, and I hope that you remember me.
When the king comes back, they will cover their eyes. It's bow before greatness, or the souls will die. Glory comes to sight, regret comes to heart. Wise on the earth, only fools think they're smart. Lies exposed, all religion will fall. Earthquakes worldwide, resurrected, see y'all. Second coming is approaching, now they wanna hide out, but when the heavens fall down, they'll just scream and shout.